Hello everyone. So for our today's topic, we have limits at infinity. That's why our lesson objective for today will be to determine the limit of a given function as its variable approaches positive or negative infinity. In other words, we have limit of f of x as x approaches positive infinity, or the limit of f of x as x approaches negative infinity. Okay, so let's imagine we have one pizza. One pizza. Tapos we are, uh, kunwari, we are 100 people who will share the same pizza. So that means we're going to divide this pizza into 100 slices. So we can imagine our limit, say 1 over x, as x approaches positive infinity. Pwede nga instead of 100, maging 1,000, 100,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000 yung mag-share sa isang pizza. So pagka ganun, di ba, hatiin siya sa 1 billion slices or 10 billion slices kasi as x approaches infinity, our tendency is to, sige na nga, wag na lang. Kasi halos hindi na natin malalasahan yung share natin dun sa pizza. Kasi halos negligible na siya. Or in short, zero. Okay? That's why the limit of 1 over x as x approaches positive infinity is equal to 0. Okay? Habang pinapalaki mo yung denominator, kahit tingnan natin sa mga table of values, 1 over a certain number that is getting very, very, very large approaches the value of 0. Okay? The same is true kahit dumami pa yung pizza, no? Kung maraming-marami kayong mag-share, say 5 yung pizza, tapos umaabot sa halos infinity kayong mag-share dun sa pizza. Ayan, so pinapalaki mo ng pinapalaki pa rin yung denominator, pero yung numerator mo is a fixed constant. Again, this will be equal to 0. Okay? The more na magiging mabilis na magiging 0 ito, the more na mas madaling lalapit yan sa 0 kapag nire-raise natin yung denominator sa positive exponent. So as x approaches positive infinity pa rin, tapos lalo mabilis lumalaki yung ating denominator, mas mabilis liliit yung ating fraction. So mas mabilis siyang lalapit sa 0. Okay? So, in fact, this is true kahit yung x natin is papuntang negative infinity or kahit yung constant natin ay maging negative. Kasi, di ba, mamumultiply lang yung 0 by a negative numbers. Like, mayroon ka lang coefficient sa labas, ilalabas mo lang siya. Di ba? Tapos, multiply lang by 0. That's why this is still 0. Okay, so with this, ito yung magiging gabay natin para ma-evaluate natin yung mga limits at infinity. Okay. Let's consider our example 1. We have this. Okay. So as you can see, we have a rational expression. So ang technique natin pag nag-evaluate tayo ng limit usually is to substitute, diba? That's usually our first step. But in this case, we cannot do that kasi nga, as x approaches infinity, what do we substitute? Will it be 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000 to the x variable? So what we're going to do is use the property we learned on the previous slide. Kaya ang gagawin natin, di ba, papuntahin to sa denominator. That's why we choose this multiplier, 1 over x. Okay? Ayun, tapos we choose the degree of the denominator. Okay, so that's 3 to be the exponent of the x that will be multiplied. So, yun. Ayun. Okay, so we're multiplying by 1 over x cubed over 1 over x cubed. This expression is safe kasi equal lang to bali sa 1. Equal lang to sa 1. Okay? So, if you apply distributive property, we will have 6 plus 1 plus x over x squared over x cubed will be 1 over x minus 1 over x cubed. And then for the denominator part, we have 2 minus 1 over x squared plus 5 over x cubed. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, ito mag-a-approach sa 0 as x approaches infinity, same as this one. Tapos sa denominator, ito din, as well as yung 5 over x cubed from the previous concept that we learned. Diba? Sabi natin, limit as x approaches positive infinity of constant over x to the n equals 0. Okay. So, ang natira na lang yung 6 tsaka 2, 6 divided by 2 will be equal to 3. So, therefore, the limit is equal to 3. Okay, now let's go to our example 2. So again, we have this limit. Tapos we choose to multiply again by 1 over x, 1 over x. Again, the degree of the denominator is 3. So we choose 3 to be the exponent of our x. Okay, so we have this. Tapos we apply distributive property again. Yan, we have 6 over x plus 1 over x squared minus 1 over x cubed. And then for the denominator part, we have 2 minus 1 over x squared plus 5 over x cubed. So yung ang magka-cancel yung mga may over x, no? So constant over x to the n. So ito as well as this one. For the denominator, ito tsaka ito yung magka-cancel. So ano yung natira sa numerator natin? It will be 0 over 2. So 0 divided by 2, that is not indeterminate, no? Kasi may over 2 tayo dito sa baba. That's why the answer is 0 for our limit. Okay, now let's go to our example 3. We have this. So again, we choose to multiply by 1 over x over 1 over x. Tapos, ano ang ating degree ng denominator, ang basis natin, kasi para maiwasan natin yung nagkaka-undefined tayo sa baba. So we have 3 again. Yan, mamaya ibahin naman natin. Okay? So using distributive property, numerator will be 6x plus 1 over x squared minus 1 over x cubed. Tapos sa denominator naman, that will be 2. Magka-cancel yung x cubed. Tapos minus 1 over x squared plus 5 over x cubed. So, this one will not approach 0 kasi 6x siya. No? Dapat yung nasa denominator yung x to the n. So, this one will be 0. Also this one. Tapos sa denominator ito and also this one. Okay? So, we're left with 6x over 2, which is just 3x when simplified. So, we have limit of 3x as x approaches positive infinity. What is the limit of this function as x approaches positive infinity? Ayan, in this case, we are making the x a very, very large number. So, multiplied by a positive number, na malaking number na, tapos tinriple mo pa, you multiply it by a positive number. That's why our answer is positive infinity. Okay. Now for our example 4, let's have this. Again, our multiplier will be 1 over x, 1 over x. We choose again the degree of our denominator. So, that will be 5. Ayun yung 5. Okay. Hindi 3. Ha? So, we have 6x multiplying using distributive property. Numerator is 6x. Tapos, plus 1 over x to the 4th. Okay. Tapos, minus 1 over x to the 5th. Sa denominator naman natin, you have 2 over x squared minus 1 plus 5 over x to the 5th. Okay? So, ang magsi-0 will be this fraction. Pag-approach ng 0, same as this one. This will approach 0 as x approaches infinity. For the denominator, we have this fraction. Also, this one. Approaching 0 sila. Okay? So, ang natira sa atin is 6x over negative 1. So, that will be negative 6x. So, as x approaches positive infinity, imagine this being a very, very large number multiplied by negative 6. That's why the answer is negative infinity. Okay, so ibig sabihin pala, kahit papuntang positive infinity yung x natin, pwedeng maging answer is negative infinity kasi may multiplier tayo na negative. Kasi parang, kunwari, meron kang 1 billion, tapos multiplied by negative 6, instant negative yung answer mo. Negative na malaking number. Okay? Now, let's have example 5. We have this. Again, our multiplier is 1 over x, 1 over x. degree of denominator is 5. So, lagay natin siya doon. Yan. So, using distributive property, we have this again. So, same answer. Kaya lang approaching tayo ng negative infinity, no? So yun yung mga magsi-zero. So again, we have negative 6x pag sinimplify. But then again, this is approaching negative infinity. So a negative large number multiplied by negative 6 will be positive infinity. Okay, that's it. So let's consider our example 6. We have this one. Ayun, so 5 pa rin yung degree natin. Yan. Tapos, distributive property, 6x squared. Tapos, plus 1 over x squared, x to the fourth rather, minus 1 over x to the fifth. Tapos, sa denominator, we have 2 over x squared minus 1 plus 5 over x to the fifth. So, magka-cancel to, this one, and this one. So, ang natira sa atin si 6x squared, tsaka si negative 1, that will be negative 6x squared. So, negative 6x squared, as x approaches negative infinity o negative large number, pag ini-square mo, that will be positive infinity, no? Malaking number lalo yun. Kaya lang magpa-positive na siya because of the even exponent. By PEMDAS rule, inuna natin yung exponentiation before multiplication by this negative constant. So positive large number multiplied by negative constant, that will be negative infinity. Okay. So nakita natin in evaluating this expression, parang may rational expression tayo dun sa mga first few examples natin, di ba? So we have the limit of as x approaches infinity, meron kang numerator over the denominator. If the degree of numerator is equal to the degree of the denominator, like this case, no? Sa example 1 natin, both are of degree 3. So kahit naging pareho sila kunwari na degree 100 o degree 2000, yan, ang nagiging answer lang natin, take note, yung natitirang leading coefficients nila. So we just deal with the 6 and the 2, yung mga coefficients ng leading terms. And so, doon natin ino-obtain yung ating answer. So just deal with the coefficients of the leading terms. Kaya sabi natin, for example, kuha tayo ng pen. Say, para magamit na natin yung shortcut, ano? Kunwari, meron tayong limit of 50 x raised to 2,000 minus 1 all over 20 x raised to 2,000 plus x minus 9. Tapos x approaching infinity. Hindi tayo magpa-factoring dito, no? Yan. So consider lang natin, ay, parehas sila ng degree, parehong degree 2,000. So all we have to do is consider their constant or their coefficients, no? Yung coefficients ng leading term. So that will be 50 over 20 or 5 halves. So yun lang yung magiging answer for this limit. Now, for example, we have this graph, di ba? Yung y equal to 2x cubed over x cubed plus 1, same degree, oh. Pareho silang degree 3. Notice that ang lumalabas, ang limit nito, if we get the limit of this one, as x approaches infinity or negative infinity pa rin, kahit i-negative mo, you just have to consider the coefficient. So understood coefficient of this is 1. So 2 over 1 is 2. So the limit is equal to 2. Kaya lumalapit siya. Oh. Looking at this behavior, let's get our laser pointer again. Looking at this behavior of our graph, pag ganun, as x tends to infinity, diba? Dito yung horizontal extent niya. Lumalapit siya dito sa line na y equals 2. Dito sa horizontal line y equals 2. Nagiging asymptotic siya supposedly. Nagkataon na mukha lang siyang nakadikit. Tapos dito din as x approaches negative infinity, pag ganun naman tayo, yan, lumalapit pa rin siya dun sa line na y equals 2. That's why with this limit property, Ito rin yung definition actually ng horizontal asymptote. So when that is satisfied, we have y equals to being a horizontal asymptote. Remember, this is the value y is approaching. Ito yung y, yung function value na ina-approach. So y equals to is a horizontal asymptote. Okay. Now, what about when evaluating a limit as x approaches infinity where the degree of the numerator is less than the degree of the denominator? Like in example 2. Diba? Ito degree 2, tapos ito degree 3. Okay, so mas malaki yung degree ng denominator, mas mabilis lumaki yung denominator, okay, kaysa dun sa numerator. Eh di ba pag mas mabilis lumaki yung denominator, mas mabilis liliit yung ating expression or yung fraction. Okay? Mas mabilis siyang liliit or mabilis lalapit sa zero, sabi natin kanina. So, the limit is just equal to zero. In fact, ito yung favorite ko sa mga limit as x approaches infinity when the degree of numerator is less than the degree of denominator. Limit is just equal to zero. Okay. So, tingnan natin tong graph na to. Ito yung very classic one, ano? Yung ating degree dito, ito yung ating kanina na in-illustrate using a pizza. So, as x tends to infinity, ito yung behavior. Looking at this behavior of the graph. Lumalapit siya sa line na y equals 0. That's why if we get the limit, sabi natin kanina dun sa first slide, of 1 over x equals 0, meaning y equals 0, di ba? Hindi lalapitan na to. Lagyan lang natin ng y para maging horizontal line equation. Y equals 2 is a horizontal asymptote. Yun. Okay? Same as x approaching negative infinity, no? Papunta pa rin siya, palapit pa rin siya, or asymptotic pa rin siya sa line y equals 0. Okay, that's it. Ayun. So, pagka naman mas malaki yung degree ng numerator kaysa degree ng denominator, just like the case of example 3 and example 4. Diba? This is of degree 4. This is of degree 3. Tapos dito naman, ito ay degree 6. Ito ay degree 5. Okay, anong kinonsider natin? We consider the coefficient as well as the sign of the infinity, no? Kasama sa consideration natin yun. Pero nonetheless, ang nagiging answer lang natin is limited to these two possibilities. Yan yung magiging possible behaviors. Limit is either positive infinity or negative infinity depending on the coefficient, depending on the x na ina-approach, depende pa dun sa exponent ng x or ng variable kung meron man. Okay? So, ayun. Now, let's take a look at this graph. No? Pag kinuha natin yung limit, this one, mas mataas yung, di ba, yung exponent ng, or degree ng numerator kesa degree ng denominator. Okay, so we have limit of 7x to the fifth over 6 minus x cubed. As x approaches infinity, yan, this will be approaching, parang consider mo yung leading terms, this one for the shortcut, that will be negative 7, tapos it's like dividing x to the fifth, tsaka x cubed, that will be x squared. So yung limit of this, as x approaches infinity, this is negative, this will be positive, so lalabas, it's negative infinity. Okay. Ayan. So, bakit kaya dito ay parang positive? I think there is something wrong with this graph kasi dapat papunta siya ng negative infinity if you plot this. So, paki-double check na lang yung graph kasi pagka papuntang negative infinity tayo, ganun pa din kasi dapat negative infinity. This one is correct. As x approaches negative infinity, This one will be positive. The x squared is positive, but with the negative 7 coefficient, it will be leading towards negative infinity. Okay. This one is a bit questionable, this behavior here. Okay, but nonetheless, we have no horizontal asymptote in this case. Okay. So when the degree of a polynomial f of x, we note here, when the degree of a polynomial f of x is greater than 0, like yung mga linear function, quadratic function, the limit of f of x as x approaches positive infinity or negative infinity is either positive infinity or negative infinity. Yan. So that applies for any polynomial of degree n where n is greater than or equal to 1. Yan. So we have limit of x squared minus 11 as x approaches negative infinity. Just like this one, this is a quadratic function. Okay? Ano kaya yung magiging answer natin dyan? That will be, balik natin. That will be positive infinity. Okay? Kasi, di ba, you have a very negative large number, pero i-square mo, di ba, that will become positive because of the even exponent. Tapos, positive na very, very large number. Kaya, kahit subtrakan mo siya ng 11, hindi na yun magmamatter masyado. Kasi, parang, you are a billionaire, trillionaire, tapos merong nanghingi sa'yo ng 11 pesos, it doesn't matter anymore. Billionaire or trillionaire ka pa rin. Okay? So, ayun. That's, parang infinity pa rin siya. So, we take into consideration the highest, the term with the highest coefficient or the leading term natin. Okay? So, whereas for this rational expression, so ito yung polynomial of degree 2, no? So, positive infinity. Dito naman, ito yung mas malaki yung degree ng denominator kesa sa numerator. So, that's why this is 0. Yan yung all-time favorite natin. Tapos, ito naman yung same degree. Isa sa favorite din natin. We just have to consider their coefficients. 2 and negative 1 will be negative 2. Okay? Tapos dito naman, you have just to consider this leading terms. That will be x to the fifth. So we still have limit of x to the fifth as x approaches negative infinity. So naging polynomial na siya of degree 5, ano? Pero odd exponent. So odd exponent kaya negative pa rin siya. That's why this is negative infinity. Okay, so balik tayo dun sa ating naudlot na question sa next slide. What about those involving radicals? Kasi kanina mga simpleng polynomials, mga tawag dito, mga rational expressions, yung in-evaluate natin yung limit as x approaches infinity. Like in this case, medyo inibad natin yung variable. We have limit as t approaches positive infinity of square root of t squared minus 8 over t plus 4. So, balik tayo dun sa shortcut natin. Yung multiplier natin, 1 over t, 1 over t. Degree is t, no? Degree of the numerator is 1. So, dapat raised to the 1 lang sana. Kaya lang gusto natin, ipasok siya sa loob ng radical. Okay, so, para mapasok yan, ano equivalent ng t sa loob ng radical na ito? That will become square root, no? Square root of t squared. Yan. So, that's the equivalent of, more or less equivalent of t. So, we do the same thing for the denominator. Okay. So, 1 over square root of t squared, yung pinang-multiply natin sa numerator and denominator. So, pag minultiply natin to with this numerator here, we have limit. Tapos, yung ating expression magiging 1 t squared over t squared minus 8 over t squared. Over, sa baba naman, we have t over square root of t squared plus 4 over square root of t squared. So, as t approaches positive infinity. Okay, so this one will approach 0. This will approach 0. Yung mga constant over t to the n, Constant over t to the n. will approach 0. Okay? So, ayan. Ang natira natin sa numerator natin is 1. Tapos sa baba natin, dapat equal lang to sana sa 1. Ano? Kaya lang, di ba yung square root of t squared is actually parang ang lalabas niyan, ano siya, di ba kukunin natin yung principal root niya. So, square root of t squared, parang t siya, yung positive value. Tapos yung t natin at the same time, positive infinity. So, as t approaches infinity, this two will just become equal. So, this is just equal to 1. So, 1 over 1, okay, is equal to 1. So, the value of our limit is just 1. Okay, what about if we have approaching negative infinity? So, same yung ating expression. So, we do the same thing. We multiply by 1 over square root of t squared, 1 over the square root of t squared. At tapos, alam na natin yung nagiging answer dito. Medyo i-pass forward ko. This will be 1 minus 8 over t squared. Tapos, sa baba, we have t over square root of t squared plus 4 over the square root of t squared. Now, this is 0. This is 0. Again, nasa form siya na c over t to the n. Itong mga ito na kinancel natin. So, limit of the numerator is 1. Square root of 1 is 1. Tapos ito, limit of the denominator will be this. No, ito yung hanapin natin yung limit as t approaches negative infinity. So this one is negative number, pero this one is its positive counterpart, no? So ito negative yung numerator niya, tapos positive to kasi you're taking the principal root. That's why denominator is approaching negative 1. They are numerically equal eh. Kunwari 1 billion. So you have negative 1 billion over square root of negative 1 billion squared. Diba? So, ang lalabas mo sagot dito is 1 billion pero sa taas yung negative counterpart. So, that's why the answer here is negative 1. So, here nagmatter kung positive or negative infinity. Okay? Now, what about this example? Ito. Okay, para siyang polynomial kaya lang hindi masyado, no? So, wala tayong nakikitang multiplier natin, no? So, we multiply by 1 over square root of x squared, no? 1 over square root of x squared para mas makita natin over 1 over square root of x squared. Okay, para ipasok, maging legitimate yung pagpasok niya dun sa loob, no? Okay, tas para ma-facilitate yung magka-cancel na terms kasi gusto natin ma-target yung c over x to the n form. Okay? So, we have limit as x approaches positive infinity. Tapos sa baba, meron kang 1 over square root of x squared. Numerator natin is 4x over square root of x squared plus yung radical magiging 16. Diba? We use distributive property. Pag dinistribute mo yan. Okay, so multiplying this by that radical, you have 16 minus 12 over x plus 5 over x squared. Pinasok mo siya sa radical sign, sa loob ng radical sign. Okay, yung x squared. Okay? Kaya 16 na lang. So, this will become 0. This will become 0. Tapos supposedly, this is 4. 4x over square root of x squared, no? 4x square root of x squared. Tapos meron ka ditong 16 which is 4, no? 4 to. Okay? So lalabas, meron ka ditong 4 na lang. So you have 4x over square root of x squared being positive, no? Positive infinity tayo. Okay? So this will be approaching positive 1, yung ating fraction dito. So we have 4 plus 4 on the numerator, that will be 8. If you multiply by the reciprocal of your divisor, that will be square root of x squared. So you have limit as x approaches infinity. Yan. Of 8 times square root of x squared, this will be a positive number na very, very large as x approaches infinity multiplied by a positive number. So this one is positive infinity. Okay. Now, what about if our x is approaching negative infinity? Same, ano? So, we know this will be limit. Medyo i-fast forward na natin. So, kunwari, multiply tayo. Yan. Understood denominator of this is 1 kasi. Okay. Sorry for that line. Crooked. So, you have 4x over square root of x squared plus, tapos pinasok natin sa loob ng radical sign, 16 minus 12 over x plus 5 over x squared. Tapos sa baba, yung 1 over square root of x squared. Okay, so this one will approach 0, this one will approach 0. So square root of 16, this will just be 4. Kaya lang since our x is approaching negative infinity, this fraction is approaching negative 1. So we have negative 4 plus 4, that will be 0. Kaya pag na-multiply siya by this one, 0 times square root of x squared. Yan. It doesn't matter anymore, no? Kasi limit is approaching x negative infinity. So kahit malaking number to with a 0 here, magiging 0 yung answer natin. Okay? So this is a sad reality na pwedeng ang maging answer natin ay 0. Oh, kahit nag-a-approach pa tayo sa negative infinity. Okay, because of our numerator thing. Okay, now let's have our time for questions. I hope you are ready for this. Question number 1, what is the limit as x approaches negative infinity of this quadratic expression? Okay, fast forwarding our timer. The answer will be, ayan, mas mabilis mag-increase to, so we'll just consider this one, no? The leading term. So negative multiplied by this one will be positive na, no? Kahit negative infinity to, kasi because of the even power. Okay, so times a negative number, this will be negative infinity. Okay, sabi natin pag polynomial na ang degree ay starting with 1, ang answer for the limit is either positive or negative infinity. Question number 2, what about the limit of this cubic function as x approaches negative infinity? Okay, fast forwarding our timer. Alam na natin dahil polynomial pa rin of degree 3. Ang magiging answer dito is either positive or negative infinity. Lagyan na natin yung infinity. So, saka natin i-determine yung sign, no? Let's just consider this highest degree or the leading term. Kasi mas mabilis siya mag-increase compared to this one. This parang magiging barya na lang itong dalawang to. Okay? So, negative tayo, no? Tapos odd exponent. So, this part will be negative. Negative large number times a negative constant. That will be positive infinity. Okay, so I hope you're getting 2 out of 2 so far. Let's get to question number 3. Okay, we have limit as x approaches positive infinity of this rational expression. Okay, fast forwarding our timer. I'm sure you know the answer already. This is of degree 1. This is of degree 4. Mas malaki yung nasa denominator and the answer is 0. Okay, now let's go to question number 4. What is the limit of this as x approaches negative infinity? Okay, fast forwarding our timer. The numerator and denominator will have the same degree. So case of the same degree, this will be 6x cubed, no? Tapos the rest will be x squared and x na. Tapos dito you have 4x cubed. So pagka same degree, ang i-consider lang na lang natin will be the coefficient of the leading term. So eventually, di ba, that will be limit of 6x cubed, and so on and so forth. Tapos sa baba naman, we have 4x cubed, and so on and so forth. Pero those terms will not matter anymore kasi ang i-consider na lang natin will be the coefficients of the leading terms. So the answer will be 6/4 or 3/2. So ayun ang ating value for the limit pala. Okay? Yan. So what about question number 5? What is the limit as x approaches negative infinity? Okay, fast forwarding our timer. Ayan, parang aalalahanin natin, bale, if we have limit of x over square root of x squared, as x approaches positive infinity, this will be 1. We have limit of x over x squared. As x approaches negative infinity, this will be equal to -1. Kaya lang ito is a different case kasi ito hindi naman siya x eh. Mas mataas ang degree niya lalabas compared to this one. Okay, so the denominator increases more rapidly kasi naka-cube siya compared dun sa square root. Okay, so kahit mag-multiply ka pa by 1 over square root of x squared, yung long cut natin, yan. Hindi siya magmamatter dito kasi matitira pa rin yun, no? X cube, malaki, no? Over square root of x squared. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, yung denominator mas mabilis lumaki. So, the limit is 0. Okay? So, ayan ang ating value for the limit in question number 5. Question number 6. Yan. What about this one? Okay, so dito na natin magagamit yung kanina, no? Yung 1 over square root of x squared thing, no? So we do the same thing here. So numerator natin, we have limit as x approaches negative infinity. Numerator is square root of 4 minus 5 over x squared. Tapos denominator natin is 3x over square root of x squared plus 2 over square root of x squared. This will be 0. This will be 0. So, square root of 4 is 2. Numerator natin, 2 na lang. Tapos sa baba, this will be positive ba o negative 1? This fraction will approach negative 1 because of the negative infinity. So, negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. So, you have 2 over negative 3. Answer will be negative 2/3. So, ayun. That will be a question number 6. So I hope you got 6 out of 6 in this set of exercises. So to end our presentation, I will leave you with this motivational quote. The only limits that exist are the ones in your own mind. Thank you for listening. God bless you.